Okay, hello and welcome to all of you. Let me see if I'm recording here. Yes, I am. Yeah, we had a whole bunch of people signed up. I guess they'll download later the recording or maybe come in, but I'm glad that with my last minute call on Facebook, so many came in improvised. Glad to see such a strong Ukrainian branch on my fractal. Hello, everybody. Um, I should start. I'm a 1-3. I'm an emotional manifester. The first slide I should show you is my design for those of you who have never seen it. It will show up later, so just take my word. I'm a 1-3 emotional manifester. I'm deeply experiential. My manifesting channel is the Jack of all trades. I'm going to be 57 years this December, this year. So, and I'm the cross of consciousness. And that's quite something, that's a pressure cooker, as one of my early Pune time therapists used to look at me and call me. And, this is an open house. This is not a course. I'm not here to teach anything. I'm here to introduce the program. And basically to introduce to you, the main difference for me is the difference in, sharing the experience, the auric experience of being together in the aura, and or this kind of event, which is something I'm very thankful of because it allows for this kind of international communication. But at the same time, in my process as a human design professional teacher this summer, it's going to be 24 years that I'm fully dedicated to this, exclusively dedicated to this. I have always, Ra had his second gate in the south node, and I have my gate 14. We both had first lines. So, he was like a comet, and I was always just keeping his tail, so to speak. And that's how I got into becoming an international human design online teacher. And slowly but surely also opening up my fractal by going to different places in work life. And in that process, I came to a point this year. I had a powerful transit of Uranus through gate 42, which just moved into gate 3. And I have the 53, and being so abstract myself, it obviously brought, an end to a lot of things in the way I was running my own life. And one of them is that I decided to stop teaching online, to stop training analysts online, to stop because it becomes a job. And being a manifester, I have always taken pleasure and joy more than anything in my relationship with human design. And of course, it's a pleasure and a joy that I don't know how much it gets across through my voice when I share it online, but I don't feel the same thing in my body that I feel when I teach live. So this is basically how I'm setting up my professional work from now onwards. So I'll be moving to places. I'm coming to Kiev this year, starting a new PTL, a new professional analyst training, and I'm going to Bulgaria. I'm working with a group in Italy. So, but it will all be done live. I'm done with the online. These days, like I told you, I'm in my 24th year with human design, and I remember Ra telling me from rather early, I think, at the beginning of our work together, that human design wouldn't be the last thing I would do. I think he was just testing or being ironical, or in a way, I know why he said it, and and I cannot say that he might not actually be right. Who knows? But please, can you guys confirm if you can hear me? Is anybody hearing me? Yep. Okay, so okay, I'm very happy for that. So, can someone write to this? Yes, Juliet, try get out and join the meeting again. Okay, where was I? Yeah, I was I got trained as a human design analyst in 5 days. I mean, you have to imagine the level of shock that I was in that experience. And of course, the day after my course, I did my first reading as an analyst, and I charged my client the same amount of money that Rahul had charged me for my reading. I mean, he was doing half price for Ibiza locals. So, but nevertheless, it was quite an ego. But from my perspective, it was like this thing is logical. It's not about who tells you, it's about what's on the body graph. Everybody's going to tell you the same. It was obvious to me because it was just all based so much on the simple. The simple. It was obvious. And then over time, I'm emotional, all when I started to realize the implications of what I had been taught. A whole waterfall of doubts and confusion overcame me, and I could never believe that the absolute that the human design represents as the truth could go that far. I could never believe it. So I was kind of always more involved than anyone else, but at the same time, deeply skeptical because I know how foolishly and helplessly I can deceive myself in my humanness, and I know how easily almost everybody that I cared for and I loved in this life, have the same tendency. It seems that, self-deception is at the foundation of human awareness. I mean, coming from a 1-3, you can tell I'm talking by experience. What is that? Who is moving the images here? Okay, we'll stay with the first one. What's happening here? This thing got autonomous. Please, if anybody is here as a presenter by mistake, please do not move the slides. Yes, thank you. And, after Ra died, until in 2011, when I had an itching question, I learned with him to live with my questions, to love my questions. But, once in a while, I needed an answer, or I needed a confirmation for the answer that I thought was correct to answer my own question. So I would write to him and he would write me back. However, him being there was room for my collective mind to stay in the relativity and not embrace the absolute as a full-time thing. Now, this is 2017, that's 6 years ago. And I know that something changed when he passed in my approach to how I represent human design based on my own authority. It's the name of my website. And it was on his recommendation, when I launched it, actually, to give it this name. And lately, the last 2-3 years, I found myself joking about myself when I speak to audiences, especially, when I teach advanced courses and I teach all kinds of levels. And I train people at all kinds of levels. I train teachers. And the joke is that, when I go into crisis, which is something that is cyclically unavoidable given the structure of my energy system, The only keynote of human design that I ever need to remember is patience. I mean, you have no idea how much of a joke that is when your consciousness has been pinched by so many questions since you can remember, you know? And in my own private life, I started feeling more and more that I'm in a space where I'm beyond human design. I really am. But I'm beyond human design in the same sense that I was never a human design believer. And I'm beyond human design in the sense in which Ra used to say, it's not about human design. It's about you. It's about you. Human design is interesting. You are amazing. Or if you prefer it, life is amazing. And to be able to experience and embrace the life that is there for you without your own mind getting in the way and getting caught in the distortion. This is such a miracle it has, It was not about better or worse. It's not like now there is no crisis. It's not like now there is no sadness. It's not like that beyond, because I feel like I am beyond human design. I am beyond being human. No. But I live on my emotional times, which means I really don't think actively. I watch my mind thinking. I always did, by the way, but I was tense in ways that I'm no longer. And this is the place from where I teach. I'm an emotional teacher, so I always provide recordings because if you really want to get the black and whiteness of my teaching, you unavoidably should listen to the recording of the courses you do with me 3 times over whatever period of time is correct for you, But because I'm dense and I'm intense, but still I'm deeply logical as well by design. So, yeah. And, well, this is basically what I'm here to offer you, besides, introducing you to the contents of the program. And you can see that, this PTL2 and the next slide, the PTL4, that this is basically 2 courses that I put first in line, because these are 2 courses that were supposed to happen online, because they're basically dedicated to a group of Spanish and a group of English trainees that have been doing the whole PTL training with me, but I just couldn't take another semester online, so I decided also to have the opportunity to meet as many as I can of them live. I invited them to do it live in Ibiza, okay? So, it's like but it's not like it's a closed group, I even intend to keep it open for people who are not doing the professional analyst training, but are curious about planets, let's say you're a reflector, for instance, okay? Or anybody who wants to know about the experience of what it means, to be a nine-centered being, to mature as a nine-centered being, and to be able to recognize that process through the 3-partite process that I will deeply look into during this program. So, and because this is a professional training level, those who are participating, it's kind of like 2-in-1 in the sense that what you would normally get from me in a PDL2, this you already receive as a download before you come live to Ibiza or before you participate online. but with the work that will be done in Ibiza, because on Ibiza, what I will be doing is work with the design of the participants to show and demonstrate how what I have theoretically explained in the downloads about each cycle, this reveals itself in the lives of the individuals that are taking part in the course. And of course, the PTL4, in my memory, but I am not a. The PDL4 used to be an optional part of the training, and I can understand why it has become now a professional standard too. Anyway, I decided, because I have never done it, to do my own compressed version of the PDL4 for a start. Particularly to round up the training with these two groups that I have already spoken to you about. So if you are not someone who has completed the professional analyst training with me or somewhere else, then this group is simply not available, not open to you. But for those who will and can, that what I'm going to share here in this one-day course is my 24-year-long experience of what it means to be a successful human design professional analyst, and the tricks in how to deal with the clients and how to work on how you present yourself, what kind of mistakes not to do, because I have already done, and these kind of things. And this is going to take approximately the first week, because the PDL4 is 1 day and the PDL2 is 3 days. Okay? 3 or 4. I mean, those of you who are interested in the details, the precise dates, the prices, you can go to my website, www.yourownauthority.com, and on the main page you'll find a direct link to where you can find all the details, okay? And at the end I'll provide an email for the office, and you can address your questions there. No. Oh yeah? No, that should be corrected. That should be correct. It's 1 day. And what there will be is, because I've done many of these summer schools, and I've done them very intensely, and I've learned that to leave 3 days where everybody can take a break, me too, the brains, enjoy the beach, and enjoy, some special things that we sometimes organize to do on that day for those who want, that there's going to be basically a free day between any 3 and 4 day long courses, okay? So just consider that. The next is this experiential human design general training. Now, why am I calling this experiential? It's a combination of online human design general training, which includes the Rave ABC and the Rave cartography. And this will be as a download, because you see, I'm a 1-3. I have a channel of change. If I just keep repeating the same stuff, I get bored, and if I get bored, I get boring. So in order to keep myself excited and be exciting as a teacher, I need to innovate. So this year, because there's something I wanted to do once, which comes in the next course that I will introduce, is to focus a complete day on each of the 4 views and describe, best I can, of course, with examples, why they are so important and how to use them to create a mechanical framework through which you can explain what's not just obvious, but when is correctly managed, can be deeply transforming. Okay, and I wanted to leave that for the record, just my own work on this. So people who are signing up for the experiential human design general training Of course, the prerequisite for this is that they have done the Living Your Design course with me or with some other official Living Your Design guide, is that they will have the downloads, and I expect them to listen to them before the live part starts. So the 4 days that I would dedicate to these 4 views, they would be included in the package, okay, for those who sign up for the general training. And then, of course, everybody that's participating, that in these 4 views, there will be a first half of the day where I will be entirely and purely theoretical on each of the 4 views. And then the afternoon will be dedicated to illustrate what I taught in the morning, again, with the examples of the charts of the participants, so that, at least logically, you can see the absolute of the mechanics. Mechanics are what they are. They don't lie. They say what they say, and then you still need to see for yourself, okay? But at least the mechanical perspective should be clear, because otherwise, human design is so complex that it's so easy to get lost in the knowledge and think it's about the knowledge, and it's not about the knowledge. It's about you. It's about the individual. One of the first things that Rod told me personally, one-on-one, knowledge is not power. And I have remembered the sentence in these almost 24 years. I can't tell you how many times. I've also shared it with others. I'm sharing it today with you because it was one of the best I could get from someone who knew as much as he knew, and he knew a lot more than I thought he knew when he told me. So this is going to be 4 days, and you can sign up for the 4 days, and that has a cost, or you can sign up for a single day if you are specifically interested in deepening your knowledge about, some of specific of these 4 views. Let's say, you feel strong with the definition, the type, and the authority, but the profile you feel slippery, or with, whatever your issue is. So I will dedicate a whole day to dedicate, what is definition? Why is it the foundation of everything? And I will dedicate some time to elaborate on, not just different kinds of definition in the sense of, split or single or triple, but also, is it red? Is it black? Is it half? Is it black and red? I will look into all variations, and again, we will look at the things that I theoretically explained in the morning and how that works in real time in the charts of the participants. And of course, if they're live with me, then everybody's going to be seeing them. So there's nothing like seeing. Awareness comes with seeing. It doesn't come with thinking. So the life force, and how important it is to have a clear sense of how the life force predisposes for an experience that is always going to have this or that as a foundational absolute. Managed as not self is going to be this. Managed correctly, it has the potential to be that. Simple mechanics. And it starts with, the life force, what's consistent. If you don't see that, then you can't really move on, because it's out of the life force and the definition that you get to see, how the person is designed to move on your own life force. So when you move based on the power that you get from your open centers, you end up distorted, you end up exhausted, particularly if you have an open sacral. And you end up sapped, taken for granted. In other words, how you move. This is type. Type tells you how to move without resistance. I learned to inform. Not only did I learn to inform, now I'm learning to wait for clarity. before informing, and I know what I knew on day one with human design, that patience is something that I would die working on what to do. But then again, the more you have it, the more you value it because you know the difference that it makes. It's because there is patience that I don't need to be enraged or angry because shit happens all the time, everywhere. You know, it's about you, it's how you move. It's about eliminating the resistances in your life. It's about eliminating your resistance to others. It's about how you move in the flow in the big river of life. I just returned yesterday from making a kayak tour around the island of Mallorca, a neighbor island of Ibiza. The flow, to be in the flow, you know. I don't have that sensation as clearly anywhere like I do have it on the kayak, you know. Um, yeah, this is type. So I'm going to look into, defining type and explaining why do we have type as, one of the main keys. And if you don't know how to use it, then you're going to feed all kinds of stuff that's going to distract the attention from the person you are trying to communicate with in mechanical terms. The third day is going to be dedicated to the view of authority and, the life of the body. The body determines the movement. The body meets the circumstance because everything happens through the body. The mind is a surrendered passenger. The passenger were always there. Through human design, you can be your own guru and your own disciple, your own and exclusive disciple. We're not here, I'm a fourth color being. I'm here to be a master. And there was a time where I thought I'm here to be Ra's novice, and one day I'll be the master of others. What a fool I was. How arrogant. I'm here to be my own master. And what it means is that I'm here to be a master of my peace, to not blame anyone for letting them take my peace away. And pretend it has nothing to do with me, because it's not fair, it's not true. Then, and that's not something I can think. No, it took breathing into the emotional roots in my body, because emotions are physical and metaphysical, both. They're in the breath, they're in the mood, they move with the breath. Each source of inner authority has its keys. So I'm gonna work on those variations, and the afternoon is going to be dedicated to illustrating with the charts of participants. And then we're going to have one day for profile, and profile, I think, I know because I have trained many as analysts, that profile is the most difficult view for everyone to integrate. And that's why, in the end, no one really understands what it represents by itself, because everyone is kind of trying to understand how does it come together with the definition, how does it come together with the type, and how does it relate to the authority. In other words, that, profile, in many ways, it's kind of like profile is there before there is definition. You can, after all, you can be a reflector, and you got a profile. Profile is there in the two calculations, in the red and in the black. And you have to understand what it represents all by itself, so that when you move into definition, you're still profiling definition. It's the definition of someone that has a certain profile. And then that definition comes together as a certain type in someone that has a specific profile. I remember the times when Ra was saying, if you know someone's type and profile, you know everything you need to know about them to treat them correctly and to have them feel treated correctly by you. And it's so true. It's so true. And then, the way profile anchors itself in the inner authority, in this life of the body, how it comes from the body through the brain and is revealed to the personality. It's a tuning fork. It's a tool for self-awareness. When I say that you are your own guru and your own exclusive disciple, I'm talking, it's a profile, it's you experimenting with your design and recognizing how well you wear the costume that comes with your profile. Whether you're an authoritarian martyr like me or you are a role model hermit like others, doesn't matter. That's your costume. That's how you present yourself consciously and unconsciously. That's how you experience yourself consciously and unconsciously. It determines 70% of everything you are consciously and unconsciously. And through it, we all carry our cross. I'm not going to go into the cross now, however. So after these 4 days, we're going to have another day break, and then we're going to have a 2-day clinic around sex and money. So what this means is that, again, I'm going to do a compressed introduction about the general mechanics about sex and money, which you'll see, it's the same mechanics you learned in the Rape ABC, in the general training. It's the body graph, it's the circuits, it's specific channels and streams and currents and lines that have an impact on, money or sex. For instance, to look at sex through profile, okay, or to look at money through type and definition. There's many different ways that predispose us to suffer because of the homogenized value that human beings give to money, or to rejoice and surrender to the fact that if you are experimenting with human design, it means you always had enough, and that there is a way for you to have enough money without having to worry about money, without having to carry money in your head, in your mind. The same with sex. Human beings carry so much sex in their minds. So, and of course, depending on the number of people that subscribe to the clinic, I will dedicate more or less time to the theoretical introduction. It's just pure logics. And this is going to be 2 days, and there's going to be a 1-day break, and then, we're going to do what I consider to be the jewel of the summer school. I always have one course that is kind of like something I do for the first time. Like I said, it's how I keep myself hot and excited to share. And, the idea of this course came about last year. I did a 1-year-long course. It was called The Program Is Not Your Life, because I really wanted to share with people a sense that what is the program really, because we always hear about the program. You read something from Ra, or you listen, and he's talking about the program. So it was like, what is it and what is it not? And how much does it matter in your daily life and things like that? And it was an interesting way to work with people, to meet every 3 weeks. And it was a very successful course. It was translated into different languages. And I thought, what would I do this year of the same length? And first I thought the 384 lines of the Rave I Ching around the wheel. And I was like so turned on by the idea, because ever since I started, I have never done that, the 384 lines in one go. So I started thinking about how it could be done, and I could not come up with any good formula to stretch it over 1 year long. And then talking with Fede, which, as you see, he created, he's my Italian translator today. He's also finishing his training as an analyst, and he is already a busy living your design guide. And he created wonderful illustrations specifically for this course, because the final idea of how to do it came up in a conversation with him. And I found the way to, it was like a risk, because it's a 9-day long course, and it's like, okay, who's going to sign up for that? But, when you do the kind of work that I do, you never know. So my way to make sure I'm going to have fun. I'm going to be doing something that I love, because then, those who are meant to be there, they always show up. So I decided to make sure I was going to do something that I was going to enjoy, and I knew that both my Italian and my Spanish translators would enjoy. And I know now that my Russian, Ukrainian translator, Julia, is also enjoying. It's a course that's going to be translated into Bulgarian as well. So it's a big one for me, and I'm going to put my very best into it. And I thought, I just found a formula, because there is another myth, or half myth, which is even worse than a myth, that I wanted to break the spell once and forever, and it is about the Rave I Ching. When you are a professional teacher, and you work with the Rave I Ching, one of the questions you get asked a lot is, what are these triangles, these exaltations, these detriments, what does it mean? And even though you explain it, I have a sense that no one really ever got to which extent Ra was literal when he said that the Rave I Ching is written for the not-self, in the language of the not-self, so the not-self could understand it, and understand that from his perspective as a writer, the not-self is you and me. I still have a not-self. I'm just aware now of having a not-self, and I didn't when he and I met. Okay? And when I translated the Rave I Ching into Spanish, and that was like 1993, in December 1993, January 1994, that's a long time ago. Oh, well, it was an amazing journey to translate this book, these lines, the poetry in them. At that time, there was only the black version of them. He later wrote in 94, 95, the white book, the Book of Letters, where he wrote a mechanical version of the lines. And now the Rave I Ching, that is now official, carries both the text of both variations that he wrote. And what an amazing piece of work that is. However, it is the book of the not-self. It is a human design. It is a not-self catalog of human design roles. Each of those lines are meant to be a living myth. A living myth. And instead what they become is a homogenized role that fluctuates between, when you read the line and you read the exhortation, it always has a sense of goodness to it. When you read the detriment, it always has a sense of badness to it, meanness to it. And what I'm trying to demonstrate to you through this, to participants through this course, is, how this good and bad that is inherent to the exaltation and detriment is rooted in human group dynamics, what is called penta and trois, the two transauric entities that determine human group dynamics. And that means, the moment there's three human beings together, in other words, not two, not you and me. See, if there is you and me, there's room for love between you and me. If there is you and me, there's room for truth between you and me, beyond agreement. But the moment there is three, there is plural, there is we. And in we, if we don't agree, three that don't agree, they have a big problem. Four that don't agree have a problem, know it, and are trying to work on it and solve it. Five that don't agree, they compete over what the problem is and how to solve it. It's group dynamics. It doesn't matter what three, what four, what five. It's numbers. I know. Oh, I know. I've looked into it. I look at it every day. This is, when I say I'm beyond human design, it's because I'm just watching a Locke's movie, which is a really nice movie, or a movie that I love to watch. I owe so much to human design, certainly, but most of it, to the man who penetrated me deep into my being on day one, with his fierce, mechanical, cold truth. So, and because I am a sociologist, I decided, hey, what a nice way to do all 384, because I thought I could do them in a sequence around the wheel. But then, yeah, that's nice, but I already did that. There's a line companion, and no one's ever going to do that better than he did. This catalog is beyond time. Well, as a matter of fact, now that we are in the mutation as nine-centered beings, we are here to be our own version of whatever our lines are, but only strategy and authority, the correctness of the way we move in life can take our awareness to that place inside of us, that place of alignment beyond normality. But see, you can't fight normality. Not excuse it, not justify it, not fight it. Just recognize it for what it is. It's what keeps human beings asleep with open eyes. Disconnected from their own lives, locked into normal lives. So, I'm going to introduce to you some of course, you learn new things about the channels and how the channels interact amongst them, the kind of life force that they embody. But mostly, I'm interested in taking you to the lines. But when you read, what I'm going to show you is that when we read the lines of the hexagram 61, 24, 43, 23, 8, and 1, that all exaltations and detriments there are written in how the 214, which is the Wa of direction, experiences good and bad. In other words, they submit their power to the 214. It's the 214 that determines what is exalted and what is detrimental. You understand? In other words, it's pure homogenization. I mean, at the purest level, when you meet human design at this level, you realize that the only absolute for human beings is conditioning. At first, awakening, there's always a possibility, but there is no promise. Human design is not a religion. It doesn't say if you do this, you're going to wake up. It says if you do this, you're going to have less resistance. That's what it says. Less frustration, more satisfaction. Less anger, more peace. Less bitterness and resentment, more recognition and success. Less disappointment, more surprise. That's all it says. Waking up, whew. Then again, waking up is not what we tend to think it is before waking up. Because it's not like you wake up to a different world. You wake up to what you can see when your mind does not interfere in what you see with its offering choices. So each channel, each of the 6 lines of each of the gates, of each of the channels, they're good and bad according to another channel that is its wa and determines what all of these channels and gates and lines are supposed to serve. Humanity. Because this is about group, it's about humanity. It's about our ideas and beliefs about what being human means. Like we know. Like it has to mean something. Like it already means something before you're born. Huh? Like, life has a purpose. And it has nothing to do with you. Because it's not true. We carry the purpose. We are the purpose. So, the way I'm going to go into the Ravi chain is that, we're going to start with looking at the lines of the Wa channels. And of course, we're going to start with the very foundation, the channel of mutation. A design of energy which fluctuates and initiates the pulse. So here we have the acceptance of that pulse, the decisiveness of that pulse, the conservatism of that pulse, the resourcefulness of that pulse, the leadership of that pulse, and the rigidity of that pulse. Quite a journey. And there is no good and no bad. Because what we're going to see is that, all of this, all this exaltation and detriment that you're going to be reading here, it is nothing to do, with whether this generator is satisfied or frustrated. You'll see. It has nothing to do with being a full individual within yourself, which is what being a generator is all about. Who am I for myself, right? No, this is an organizational channel. They want to change the world and they have the power to bring mutation. Oh, you're a candidate for depression. Everyone, that carries one of these Wa channels under circumstances is a candidate to make some kind of megalomania. Not just think for everyone, but actually act like what they think is an absolute truth for everyone, not just for themselves. And the same with the lines of gate 3. And of course, I'm going to look into each line. Okay, and I'm going to read them loud and I'm going to explain what they mean they're just a pole of the not self. That you cannot find the true self in any of those poles. Because the true self is the awareness, and it's your form of carrying a certain line. The same line can have a totally different expression depending on what the rest of the design brings, whether it's a generator or it's a projector or it's emotional or not. So this is the first level of where we're going to be looking at. So you understand what conditions everything else. We're going to be looking at the lines of each of the 6 Wa channels. And then from there, I'm going to take you, to the lines of the 6 penta channels okay, which are, of course, those who care most to establish in the small group what the Wa, which is what organizes the big group, has established as law, law, and how they teach that to the children, how we all learn normality. Because this is what these chants are all about. This is how we all learn about normality. We is normality. You know, we at home, we at work, we at school, we in the bar, we at the beach. Normality just rolls. So we're going to be looking at lines from that perspective. And when we understand what these agents of homogenization are, then we're going to go into the rest of the lines. Okay? Then we're going to be looking into the streams of awareness, which is, by the way, where homogenization can be challenged, can be corrected, can be worked with, can be identified, So, but again, what I will show you is that in the way the Reifi Ching is written, is that in each line you will see that these lines, the exaltation and detriment, they are a measuring stick that comes from the 2750 that happens to be the Wa channel of the understanding circuit. Each of the 6 main circuit has one of the 6 Wa channels as its focus of power. It's the power person, it's the boss, it's the organizer. So it's the one, that everyone agrees that it's best to give their power to that one that seems to care best for everybody. It's it's a deeply homogenizing force, and it can be a deep, deep, deep burden for the individuals who carry it if they don't understand what that is and if they don't operate correctly within their design. So we'll be looking at each line of each gate of each of the streams of all circuits, always in connection to the homogenizing process, expression that they are of the Wa signature, the Wa laws. Okay? Because only when you are aware of the pre-established, homogenized world of normality, what goes around as normal, can you deal with it correctly and just move on in your own differentiation process, I watch my own movie, but I live in the same world as everybody else, whether it's war, whether it's, like I said, shit happens every day, everywhere, all the time. Of course, because I've tried to explain this to you now in about 15 minutes, maybe 20. This is going to be a 9-day long course. And of course, there's going to be 2 break days in between. In other words, the course is going to be split in 3 parts. So we're going to have day 1, day 2, day 3, and a day off. Day 4, day 5, day 6, and a day off. Day 7, day 8, and day 9. And that's the end. That'll be the end of the school. Well, what can I say? Human design is the science of differentiation, and I know now my name Alok means light. This is a picture of me I've taken 3 days back in Menorca when I was finished the tour on kayak. I thought it's cute. And down there you have the email that you can write to if you have any kind of practical questions, and you can direct them to this email address. What else can I say? It will be my pleasure to meet as many of you as possible. Then again, it's all going to be happening in my own private house, so the space there is also limited to not more than 25 people in extreme case scenario, where I have to transform the house into a big airplane. But we already did it and it worked, so we can do it again. Uh, what else? Nothing. Just thank you for being here, for the interest in my work, and it's been a pleasure to inform you about my excitement in sharing this program with whoever the flow happens to bring there in the serendipity. To all of you, enjoy the flow of your movies. Bye for now.